We don't do these stats anymore. We just won't do them anymore. We can do that too. They'd be fine? Okay, we'll put them away. All right, I thought the scrimmage was about like the weather. Good and bad. Of course, obviously, when the defense plays well, the offense isn't doing well, and vice versa. So there's always something good happening. There's always something bad happening, I guess you could say. But when the rain hit, first drive looked like the offense was moving the ball pretty good, although I would say one of the passes that were completed probably would have been a sack, but when the officials there trying to decide, is it a sack, is it not, it's kind of hard to tell. But it was a good throw and catch on a 1-1 play that might have been a sack. But the ball was moved very well. Then we had a drop ball offensively, and then we had a missed assignment, and then it ends up being 3rd and 10, and then don't convert but kick a field goal. So, I mean, the 1-0 looked like they were ready to play coming out of the gate, and then but then got bogged down with a couple errors. But like I said, one of those might have been a sack, so who knows what would have really happened on that drive. But then it just come down pouring rain, and it was kind of hard to do anything offensively. Defense was playing well during that time. By halftime, I'm thinking, the defense is playing great, and the offense is looking like their body language isn't looking real good. Not real happy about that. And sure enough, the offense, one guy makes a play, and then all of a sudden everybody gets excited on the offense, and then the defense looks like they're down a little bit. We got to learn to handle adversity better on both sides of the ball, I guess is the point I'm making. I think that we need to keep playing hard every down. Know it's a long game, know it's a long scrimmage, whatever it may be. Really, there's a lot of outstanding plays that were made on both sides of the ball. Guys played hard. Guys did good.
Is there any scoring you guys give to this that you can come away saying offense or defense?
I wouldn't say, no, we don't. I mean, if there's a touchdown, it's a touchdown. A field goal, it's a field goal. But there was a couple touchdown passes. Hudson threw a couple to Conley. Really back-to-back plays, because it's like the tail end of a drive. When we put the ball in the +40 in the second half, offense drove right down the field, scored a touchdown. Then you get 8 plays, so that was the 7th play. Then the 8th play, move it back to the 40, start again, and launched another bomb for a touchdown. Bang, bang, 2 touchdowns, and then the countenance of the defense fell a little bit, for a minute. But then we get into 3rd down situations. Offense, I think, won the first 4, and then it was a pretty good battle after that. In the 3rd and medium stuff, the 3rd and long, I don't know if we might have got a first down, 3rd and long. I don't know. We went 3rd and 7, 8, 9, and 10. We might have hit 1 or 2 of those. Defense pretty much dominated that. Then we went down to the goal line, and the offense ended up being 4 for 4 on the goal line, which was good for the offense, not good for the defense. So that's about how the scrimmage went. But nobody seemed to have gotten hurt. There was no injury that had to stop play or anything like that. I mean, I'm sure there's some guys that got banged up, and maybe something creeps up tomorrow. That'll hurt worse tomorrow than it does today. But Ron came to me with a good report, which we're thankful for. Shaq got a pick, made a nice return. Hudson had a very high percentage of completion, and the other 3 quarterbacks didn't have a very high completion rate at all. But there was way too many balls dropped. There were some nice throws made by some of the young guys. Just a lot of drop balls, and it seemed like key situations to keep drives going. Just hard to, and it wasn't just wide receiver drops, there's some tight end drops, fullback drop. Wide receivers had their share too.
We talked to JJ briefly. He was pretty fired up about a hit he had on Brendan Douglas. I'm still not clear if he was happy to have survived or if he won it or.
I don't know.
What he's
I know Douglas had a real physical run on the goal line where it was kind of that human equation, and he won it. I won't say who he ran over, but he won that one. And Douglas is hard to knock back, but JJ, I will say this about JJ: he's very tough, very physical, and for a guy that hadn't played defense in a while, I really like what he's doing.
You said the offense was sparked by a big play. What was the play?
Well, the drive that moved the ball down the field in the second half was a lot of little quick screens and just getting some good yardage off of that, going high tempo, getting lined up, running it again type stuff. And the last one was a little flare route to Conley to score. And then the very next play was the last play of that group. We go 8 plays. So the 8th play was 1st and 10 plus 40-yard line, and it was just a route where we roll out. We run it a lot. We roll out to the right, and a wide receiver makes a double move, and he got wide open.
How did the offense and defensive line, how'd that battle go with, the offense being less experienced than
The protection, it's hard to look at sometimes when you got your 2 and 3 units working. Sometimes it skews your feeling of how the O-line's protected in general. But I'd say there were some protection issues, and some of it was offensive line play. Some of it was backfield not picking up the right guy, and some of it was quarterbacks not knowing they were hot, not knowing a hot to us is when linebackers come and we don't have enough people to block it. You got to throw hot, and then there's a side adjustment we call it, where somebody from the secondary comes, a safety or a corner. So between the hots and the side adjustments, I think we missed a couple, and so that makes your protection look porous. But there were plenty of times we protected beautifully, and the guy had plenty of time to throw. And so it was just up and down. You run 100 plays, there's just going to be a lot of good and a lot of bad. And it's easier after a game when you're Georgia to say, well, how you did. In this one, everybody's Georgia, so all the good stuff was Georgia, all the bad stuff was Georgia.
Coach, end of week 2, do you feel like Hudson's getting a little bit more confident in his new role?
I think so. He was very sharp today, very sharp today. And I think he was like 12 or 14 or something like that. Had a good day, had 2 touchdowns, no picks, threw the ball away, once or twice.
What about the guys behind him? Do you feel like there's a lot of competition and energy?
A lot of competition. They're all fighting for number 2, in my opinion, right now. Park obviously is fighting to learn what to do, but Fatone and Bryce are battling it out, and Mike Bobo is giving everybody opportunities with each unit, giving them enough reps to show what they can do.
Coach, if you did happen to bring stats, I for one would love to hear them.
You would? I wasn't gonna bring them. I said, I'll bring them, and then it became stupid. Do you really want to hear them? I guess y'all want something to write about.
There's a lot of fans that really like them.
They want to hear the stats. They're very unofficial. Douglas ran 8 times for 36 yards. Turman ran 10 times for 20. But I will say he ran the ball very hard and didn't have as much space. But he did some good things. Bless you. Hudson 3 for 15. Which when Hudson runs it, you tag him and he's down type thing. And again, you know, when we get to the sack stat, there's probably a few more sacks that would have been. It's just, it's hard to tell, and when it's hard to tell, we just let them play so we can. When you throw the ball down the field, you learn more about your DBs and receivers and linebackers, so we let them play a little bit. Karemplis had 8 carries, 15 yards. Gurley had 3 carries for 14 yards. Bagger, Vagher, 1 carry for -2. And the other quarterbacks, sack yardage, really no rushing yardage. Passing, I'm sorry, it wasn't 12 for 14, it was 12 for 18, Hudson Mason. 12 for 18, 152 yards, 2 TDs. Fatone, 2 for 11 for 20 yards and 1 pick. Ramsey, 2 for 11, 41 yards. Park, 1 for 7 for 11. And I will reiterate, multiple drop balls. There were some pretty good throws that should have been caught. I think I would say by every single guy had multiple guys drop balls, it looked like to me. And again, that was not just a wide. People think wide receivers dropping balls, but some tight ends joining the party and backs and receivers, obviously. Bennett had 5 catches for 48 yards. Rump had 4 for 28. Davis had 3 for 59. Gurley had 2 for 28. Conley had 2 for 54. Both of them were touchdowns. And then Jordan Davis, the first Davis was Reggie. The second Davis was Jordan. 1 catch for 7. My buddy Dom. To talk to him later. Okay. 1 field goal attempt was made by Marshall Morgan. 29 yards. Made all 3 extra points. There was a rushing TD I missed. Karemplis. A 9-yard touchdown run. Tackles. Very unofficial. Reggie Carter was 7. 1 tackle for loss. J.J. Green, 7 tackles. It says a sack here. By the way, it said Reggie Carter, if you want to back up, had a pass breakup, if you want all that good stuff. Langley was said to have had 5 tackles. Deloach, 4 tackles, 2 tackles for loss. He batted a ball down at the line of scrimmage, so that's a PBU, pass breakup, and 2 sacks, unofficially. Floyd had 4 tackles. Rameek had 4, 2 for loss. Trying to go slow. Herrera, 3. Matter of fact, well, I'll go down the line. Swan, 3. It said Swan had a tackle for loss and 2 pass breakups. I'm going to stop with 3. John Taylor had 3. Ray Drew had 3. 2 tackles for loss and a sack. Trey Matthews with 3. And then a boatload of dudes with 2 or 1. A lot of tackles for loss today, by the way. All these guys had 1 tackle for loss, if you care about that. All these guys had 1 tackle for loss. Thornton, Dawson, Askew, Atkins, O'Neal, Rankin, T. Long. We did have the 1 interception, Shaq Wiggins, 19-yard return. Another guy got Ryan Rankin had a pass breakup. We didn't talk about that. And then all these guys had one sack that I don't think I mentioned yet. Dawson, which is Sheldon Dawson. Askew, Atkins, T. Long.
Mark, how was Ray Drew done this spring?
He's done all right. He's been banged up a little bit, and but I would say it's not his. He's not been kicking tail right now. I think he got a lot of improving to do.
How much do you think the new lineup at offensive line contributed to the amount of tackles for loss there were today?
Well, my guess is a lot of those tackles for loss was with the second and third unit. I don't think there's many tackles for loss with the one unit. So I wouldn't say very many at all. That's why stats are deceiving. So.
What do you see at right guard with Tyken
Kublana. It's a good battle. They're both very capable. Pike's a bigger man, probably a little better pass protector. Kublano's not quite as big, but I think he got a better concept as a run blocker, and he's got to improve on his pass protection some.
Did John stay on the left side today?
John stayed on the left side, yes, ma'am.
Is DeBell getting a look at guard?
Yes, left guard.
How's-
You know what? when a guy goes right down the middle of him, some of the big guys, it's kind of tough on him at times. But when you got to pull and go, get out in front of a on the screen or pass protect, if people trying to edge rush him or whatever, he does very well. You're trying to perfect tackle, and all of a sudden you get thrown in there at guard. So there's some assignment issues still, but. He did well. I mean, he worked with the first unit today.
Coach, what have you seen from Reggie Davis this spring? I know he said he put on about like 10 pounds, and he's been able to get off jams a little bit quicker.
Yeah, he's doing good. He's really coming along. We had a screen early in the scrimmage. I got a chance to watch about 3 series on film. In the future, I probably continue to let the players go first. I mean, I can watch enough film to help tell you what I saw. But I happened to see him. He didn't make a devastating block, but he was supposed to crack a defender, come inside and crack him and pin him when we had a screen coming outside. He wasn't strong enough to keep him from going, but he was athletic enough and he played hard enough to stay on him and just stayed with him all the way till he went out of bounds. He didn't physically throw him out of bounds, but as the guy was pursuing, he stayed on him and kept him at bay and did a nice job. And that's where he's got to do his work. It's just going to be a matter, blocking at the receiver position is a matter of really, first you got to know what to do. Obviously, you know who to get, but you just got to want to do it. And even if you're not a real super physical guy, if you're willing to scrap in there and keep your feet moving and just care enough, you can do it pretty good. I see some improvement.
The other Davis, Jordan Davis, I'd assume he's working with the first team a good bit since there aren't that many tight ends.
Right. Jordan's doing pretty good. Jordan's he's a whole lot better on assignments. He's understanding how to run routes. He's the one tight end we got that can really penetrate down the field. He can run, and he's for the most part. He caught the ball very well. He did have a drop ball today, at least one. But in his defense, he was getting hit as the ball was coming in. But you got to make those catches. But he's still a little light in the blocking. He's got there's times we ask our tight ends to pass protect, and he's athletic enough, but he can get kind of pushed around a little bit too. So he's got to get stronger.
Time for one more?
Did you talk to Jeremy afterwards? It was his move, kind of, I guess, his first.
I did not. I think he's very realistic in knowing that it's not gonna happen overnight, but I think he saw enough good things where he thinks we're moving in a good direction.